Shoot for the moon, even if you'll miss, you'll land among the stars. A quote by Norman Vincent Peale which I think encapsulates Chicony's path in OSU quite well. Having gone through high highs and low lows, no matter what roadblocks... In life you have roadblocks. No matter what roadblocks he had to go through, he would always persevere and eventually reach the highest echelon in OSU. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, let's go back in time and see where it all began. It's 2014, and at the time, Chicony and a friend of his had a conjoined channel on YouTube called The Lev Games. And back then, Chicony went by the alias Leva, thus explaining the username Leva Russian. But for the sake of this video, I'll be referring to him as Chicony. As any young and aspiring kid in the 2010s, Chicony wanted to be a YouTube content creator. He looked up to his idol Lololoshka, who he adored, watching both his videos and streams. On a particularly insignificant November morning, while watching his favorite creator livestream, Chicony began developing an interest in the game that was right in front of his eyes. That game of course being OSU. So on the 13th of November, Chicony signed up and began his OSU journey at the age of 9. He would have a relatively slow and typical beginning, playing popular maps at the time and just songs he wanted to play. He continued playing mainly for fun and not really often, as he would only get his first 100 PP play after over a year of playing the game. Over the following months, he would get them more often, slowly but surely getting better and developing a special interest in the double time mod. However, as fast as it began, all would fall down. In the middle of spring 2016, Chicony would pull the Kukizio classic by cheating on purpose to get himself banned because he wanted to quit the game. And well, it worked. For a week, then he was back and playing offline. However, being banned did not stop the young and aspiring Chicony, as he would continue on developing as a player, mainly focusing on DT. He would also start being able to read AR 10.3 and set some plays like a hidden DTFC on In My Room, which for his skill level is pretty good. As the summer of 2017 would arrive, Chicony's efforts would finally start paying off. He got his first ever 300 PP play on Harabare Fanfare with hidden double time. Although he was still banned from Bancho, his grind did not stop, as just 3 months after his first 300, Chicony would FC Best Friends, getting his first 400 PP play. It seemed like he was getting back on track, and on a pretty good one. But it would be a pretty short one, as he was growing a bit tired of OSU, so he switched to Minecraft instead. But it wouldn't be until 2019 when Chicony would finally start regaining interest in the game, putting in attempts on DT farm maps and eventually getting his first 500 PP play on Popstars. He would continue on improving, setting some interesting scores like a 2-miss run on remote control. And just a mere 5 days after setting the play, he would once again farm some basic DT farm maps, this time getting his first 600 PP play on Chikaro Chica Chica. It was all once again looking good for Chicony, but there was one thing left: his ban status. However, this would also be changed, as in April 2020, he would finally be released from the private server and offline playing hell, and finally be able to set scores on Bancho. This would ignite an even bigger flame inside Chicony. His motivation and drive was at an all-time high, and he would improve insanely quick, as on July 14th, 2020, Chicony would set his first 700 PP play in the form of a remote control FC with double time. Although the play was done on a private server for one reason or another, it was clear that Chicony had immense potential to become a top player. To combat the lack of FC on Bancho, he would quickly make things do by re-FCing the map again on December 2020. Then came the year 2021, and in the beginning there wasn't really much that Chicony did. He would stay still until the month of March, in which he would pour in over 3,000 attempts. With the constant playing, he would have multiple pop-off sessions, and in one of them, he would set a new top play on Kimi no Shiranai Monogatari. The month of March seemed really promising, however, come April, progress would become stagnant. Chicony would barely log in the game, putting in only 62 plays that month. But he would quickly pick himself back up in May, and oh boy was May an insane month for him. He would finally break the 800 PP barrier by FCing another version of Kimi no Shiranai Monogatari. This was an insane achievement for Chicony. However, not even an hour later, he would quickly overshadow this. He would set his first 900 PP play on Color's Power. This also marked Chicony's first appearance on Seeple. This helped Chicony grow his live audience on Twitch. He would end summer off on a high note by FCing Anime Ban, granting him yet another 800 PP play. Although Chicony wouldn't be able to play as much in the following months, he would still be able to pop out high PP scores here and there. However, all would change on November 27th, as he would switch to tablet after over 7 years of playing with mouse. In hindsight, this was Chicony's ticket to near demise, but of course at the time he didn't know that. It actually seemed quite the opposite. After he got fairly used to the tablet, he would set as he calls his first good score. It was a double time FC on Bye Bye Yesterday. His aim would slowly but surely catch up, and in 2022, he would set a 700 PP play with tablet, which was an FC on Save and Core Remix. However, that would be it with tablet in terms of scores. The playstyle really hindered Chicony's progression and his mental state. Each session he entered was filled with high hopes, but by the end he felt as though he had only regressed. On top of that, he thought he wouldn't be able to readjust back to mouse. And what little hope he had was slowly dissolving. Thoughts of backing down and giving up were rising.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Yeah, I want it louder though. Never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Never back down, never what?
Never give up.
Let's play! Let's go!
What concerns he had about switching back were quickly overruled, because just 2 weeks after changing back, he would set a new top play, an 841 PP play on Nagareboshi. Wait, didn't he have a 900 PP play? Yeah, well, PP reworks were not kind to that play, as it was nerfed from 930 PP all the way down to 836 PP. But it wouldn't really matter, as he would start picking his old pace back up, and on May 15th he would finally reach 2 digits for the second time in his career.
Я должен был миснуть 10 тысяч раз. Почему я не миснул?
To solidify his stay in the top 100, he would set another 800 PP play on the same day, ending off at rank 93.
Я же говорил, в чем проблема просто взять и поставить 800 pp?
Charlie's Perfect Math Class, hosted by Moist Critical. This was one of the biggest 1v1 tournaments in OSU history, and Chicony was invited to participate in it. Although Chicony had prior tournament experiences, for instance the OWC 2021 and Russian OSU Cup 2021 where he was the standing champion, Charlie's Perfect Math Class would be his first international 1v1 tournament, and oh boy would it be an insane tournament for Chicony. He would qualify for the main bracket, placing 26th overall out of 32 players. After that came the group stages, and he was put in a group with Arnold, Mastas and Henry, some of the best tournament players out there. Even looking at this now, it wasn't Chicony's game to win, but this did not stop Chicony and he would win against all of them, qualifying for the main bracket on winning side. However, his next opponent was proven to be too big of a challenge for him, and it was a match against Emmerich. And Emmerich in tournaments is no joke. The match was really close, but ultimately in the end, Emmerich won. This put Chicony in loser's bracket, and his following opponents were also no joke. But when it seemed like it wasn't Chicony's game to win, he would pull a loser's run of a lifetime. Lolol234? No problem. Karcher? No problem. Bartek? Same thing. But then came loser's semi-finals. Chicony had to face his biggest opponent yet. That player being none other than White Cat. It all came down to the final tiebreaker pick. And that same pick went down to the very last seconds.
Many players through this entire tournament so far. No, he's not able to.
That's gonna be it.
White Cat is able to make it through that burst, and that might actually just decide the map entirely.
There's still the ending. White Cat misses at the very start of the ending. There's still hope. There's still hope. He missed it more. Right now, Leverushin looking to secure the point. Is he going to do it? White Cat misses at the end.
Nice.
Chicony clutched in the moment it was most needed to, winning against one of the most feared tournament players ever. With his horns high, Chicony entered the finals. Everyone had one question in mind: would Chicony be able to persevere, get through one of the most insane runs and win I mean, it was a good run, you know? Malashevsky is just too good, man, defeating Chicony 5-1. But even though he was defeated, he would still finish in second. Duh. He had one of the best runs him and the rest of the OSU community has ever seen. After the tournament, Chicony would go back to single player and set a brand new goal, reaching the top 50. So in late August, he decided to farm as much as he could. After this, however, Chicony was back to tournaments again. OWC 2022, one of the most controversy-filled tournaments in recent history. Team Russia was playing against China in loser semifinals round 2. Unfortunately, Team Russia lost by 2 points, but well, stuff happens. Celebrate what you achieved. Right? After the match, Chicony tweeted this: "Lost to a cheater, GG. To other Chinese players, you are besties. Well played." The unhighlighted player in question was Fia, who was a mouse-only player. Back then, she was considered one of the best players with the playstyle, probably the only one. Prior to their match, Chicony posted a report thread on r/OSU report. He highlighted some inconsistencies in her play. For instance, she always started at the same spot on every map, and the unusual brain fog she would sometimes get, hinting at a potential replay bot. People were fuming at Chicony and quickly defended Fia, saying Chicony is just a sore loser. Yeah, Chicony was more than right, and his team was granted a chance to continue on playing in the tournament. Their match against Romania came down to a tiebreaker, and for the first half it really seemed like it was Russia's game to win and continue. However, a player on the Romanian team, Satono Diamond, had built up a massive combo which helped them gain the lead over Russia and ultimately winning in the end.
Even with the 1400 combo from Vacman and the 300 combo from Tester, there's just not the time left anymore, and this is going to be Romania by 100k on the tiebreaker, taking the point and advancing to top 6.
Although Team Russia lost and didn't move on to top 6, the tournament was one of a kind for them and for everyone else watching. Finally, Chicony could go back to single player. There were a couple of things missing from Chicony's achievement catalog. Since his first 900 PP play was nerfed down, he desperately wanted to regain it. So on Christmas Day, he decided to grind the living hell out of Finest Sky, and well, in the end, it proved to be victorious.
Да! Что? Я сделал это.
Finally, Chicony could rest in peace.
16. Come on. Get it. 17. You don't know me, son. Get it. 18. You don't know me, son. Get it. 19. You don't know me, son. Yeah. 20. You got some more in you. 21.
Я не верю.
Not even 24 hours would pass since his first 900 when he would get the most sought after achievement in OSU, a 1000 PP play, less than 24 hours after his first ever 900 PP play. This would have been a great way to finish off the year, a 900 PP play and a 1000 PP play right before New Year. Well, once again, Chicony didn't stop, and on January 31st, he would reach even higher grounds by setting a 1.1k PP play on Stellarium. Then came the new year. Chicony's skill and dedication would not slow down by a single bit. He would tackle a map he had laid eyes on for a while now, the map in question being Kimi no Kyoku, the mathy 1k map. However, FCing it was not an easy task for Chicony as it would take him over 100 tries, but he would finally persevere and FC the map with spectacular accuracy. What was next? Chicony almost had anything a player would want. Well, one of his main goals in OSU was to become the best player in Russia, and he was number 2 at the time. His final opponent was Nyan Potato. Not only was Nyan a competitor for the title of the best player in Russia, but also the best mouse player at the time. But Nyan's run would end on January 30th.
Top 1 mouse. Top 1 mouse. Please.
The reaction speaks for itself. He had finally done it. Through thick and thin, he would finally surpass the former #1 Russian player, getting that title for himself. Over the next couple of months, Chicony would solidify his dominance and stay in the top 10. He would go on to be the first ever to FC brain power with hidden double time, getting yet another 1000 PP play. This is honestly one of my favorite plays of this year. Later on, he would re-FC Finest Sky, this time with hidden and double time, and this time his accuracy was much better. This play landed him in the number 9 spot, officially making Chicony a single-digit player. To gain an edge over his competitors, he would acquire the infamous wooden keyboard, and what he did next can only be described as a pop-off and a half. He jumped a whopping 3 spots within the top 10, and moving forward, he would not stop, continuing to show his dominance by FCing Asuno Yozora with 99.3% accuracy. Keep in mind, the second highest accuracy behind him is done by Okolibed, and he had 98.24%. Chicony beat his accuracy by a whole percentage. At his peak, Chicony was at the number 4 spot. He was in a heated battle with Gnahus and Nineric. One of them would set a high PP play, another one would clap back, but at the end, Chicony would sit at the number 5 spot where he is also today. But knowing him and the maps he has untapped potential on, this can change very quickly. With how often the top 10 changes nowadays, one has to be exceptional and consistent enough to not just stay in it, but also climb it. Chicony is definitely one of the best prodigies the game has seen, especially on mouse. He's still young and plays the game with relative frequency, so there will be definitely a lot more to see. Who knows, maybe he can fix some of his chokes and get a 1.2k, like on the Pretender. Or maybe he can switch back to tablet.